In a world with more tech, more social media, and more anxiety, where can people reliably turn to for help? Hello and welcome to the Boostara podcast. I am your host, James. On the Boostara podcast, we speak to leaders in business and uncover the truths and insights from their amazing experiences. At Boostara, we help businesses boost growth, cut costs, and gain better business insights. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, type the word growth into the comments below, and I will be sure to reach out. Today, finally, because it's not the first time it's trying, we are joined by Elisha Kemp, Director at EK Psychotherapies. Hello and welcome, Elisha.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, I've got to ask you, Elisha, as I ask everyone, where are you calling us from today? You can be as specific as you want.
I'm calling from home, my lovely, chaotic, half-renovated house.
It's one of those that if we pan across, it would be a completely different visual, right?
Yeah, probably a different view if we was to take you out this door.
Brilliant. Well, for those of our listeners, and I think in the local area of Hull and East Riding, North Lincolnshire, will know of you, will know of EK Psychotherapies. But for maybe those that are listening from further afield, could you just give us a little bit of a brief overview of yourself and your journey to where you are today with EK Psychotherapies?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a qualified cognitive behavioural therapist. I'm also a qualified EMDR therapist and supervisor, consultant in training actually, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It's a trauma-based therapy, although I do use it for other things as well. I'm also an ADHD assessor. I'm also diagnosed myself with ADHD and autism. I kind of fell into this industry, if I'm completely honest. It's a bit embarrassing to say that I kind of, after many jobs, I decided that I wanted to kind of help people, became a healthcare assistant and on the mental health units. So I was working a lot in inpatient, and then I applied for a job as a psychological wellbeing practitioner, but I actually forgot I'd applied for it. I'm embarrassed to say, and ended up getting this interview, and I was like, oh my God, I can't remember what this job is. So I had to do all this research, and I was like, oh, this actually sounds like a really amazing opportunity. I went for this interview, didn't actually get it. And then some people dropped out and I ended up getting the job. And then from there, I've just gone and kind of worked my way up the ladder. I was one of the first PWPs in the UK to go across into a children and young person service. I've worked in the first crisis children's service that was developed in Hull. I then went into the community, progressed to become a CBT therapist, was offered a clinical lead but didn't really want it. Been a clinical supervisor, been a clinical lecturer. So I actually lectured at Hull Uni up until recently. I was module lead there. And then I decided that I'm so creative, I really want to be bespoke, and I just launched EK Psychotherapies. And the name of the business actually was just my initials. And I was like, oh my God, what can I call myself? What's available? And I just used that. And I had to put psychotherapies because I thought if I put EK therapies, people might think I'm a beauty therapist or something. And I thought, well, that's clearly not what I do. So I just came up with that, and then that's it. It just kind of spiraled from there.
What was that spark, that push to make you want to kind of go out alone, I guess?
I think having worked for the NHS for years, and I also worked for Navigo as well, which is like a social enterprise. So I've worked in North East Lincolnshire as well. I think it was the restrictive side of it, the restrictions of not being able to be as creative or bespoke with therapy, not being able to kind of bring a lot of myself into that, but also having those restrictions of kind of you can only have this many sessions, they can only be this long, you can only do this. And of course, we always adhere to, the evidence base of our practice.
Yeah.
But at EK Psychotherapies, we are very known for tailoring our services to the individual or
Mm.
business rather than just off the shelf because everybody's different. So I think that's what gave me that initial push.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm really curious from from your experience, over the years within different settings, how have you seen the trends, or the trends and the needs, for this kind of service change over time? You mentioned one of the first practitioners working, was it working with children?
Yeah, so one of the
Right.
first sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was just going to say. So, is that one of the trends is the rise in, anxiety within children, and the need for ADHD, autism. I hear of it from
Yeah.
schools, colleges. A lot of children that are undiagnosed and needing to be diagnosed, and
Mm.
begs the question: is it that there's more cases? Or is it just people are slipping through and not being diagnosed? Interesting to hear from your
Yeah,
perspective how those
absolutely.
trends have changed.
I think one of the biggest things at the moment that I'm always saying to people is that not everybody has ADHD. This is one thing that I'm hearing a lot, is, oh, everybody's got it, and it isn't the case. What we have to think about is that back in my day when I was a child, I mean, I'm 40. So when I was a child, say 10 years, 11 years old, ADHD and autism was very unheard of. There wasn't a lot of evidence around it. There wasn't a lot of people talking about it. It was quite unheard of. People didn't really understand it. So it's not that everybody's got it. It's that if you imagine, we're working on about a 50 to 60-year backlog of people who haven't been diagnosed
Yeah.
because we didn't have the evidence, because we didn't have the research.
Mm.
Most of the evidence was around males, particularly young boys. So because of the evidence around that, we was not seeing as many females come through with it because the way a female presents is very different to how a male presents.
Mm.
So we're not actually, it's not that everybody's got it now. It's that we're working on a backlog of about 50 to 60 years. So if you imagine we've got a waiting list of about 50 to 60 years of the population.
Yeah.
So you imagine across the UK, that's a hell of a lot of people to
Mm.
diagnose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why we've seen that massive influx.
Yeah. 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 That's when you put it like that. That's a crazy amount of numbers, right? Just
Mm.
to initially to deal with. I guess, have you seen any changes, in terms of, the tech? So in relation to the tech that we're using, more social media, more smartphones. In your position, is that exacerbating issues, or is that not? It's not related in any way to the issues that you deal with on a day-to-day basis.
No, I think it absolutely is exacerbating the issues. I think there's a lot of kind of cyberbullying going on. There's a lot of, things like revenge porn.
Mm.
There's things like, people researching things, TikTok's got a lot to answer for, in that respect, because people can go on TikTok and research, how to self-harm, how to
Mm.
end my life, there's people going on there doing memes about ADHD, oh, I've misplaced my keys, I've got ADHD, and it's a lot more, complex than that. It's not just about losing your keys. It's not just about your emotional regulation being dysregulated.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot more to ADHD and autism. There's a hell of a lot more to anxiety than just these small snippets that are being shown.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, there's some good things, that do show some really relevant stuff. But I think people are turning to social media for the wrong reasons.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, and I guess to add on to that, there's so much information out there, that's probably part of the problem as well, as to know what sources you can go to. YouTube is just so
Yeah.
accessible. TikTok is so accessible, and everyone and anything is expert, just piling in information. Remember we talked to a different example, but we talked to a travel agent, like Carl Douglas from Beverly Travel, recently, and we were talking about how well, travel agents aren't dead anymore because people are overwhelmed with information. They don't know what to trust. So they go to the travel agent to find the correct, information for the holiday that they want to go on. Back in the 80s, you went to a travel agent because there wasn't enough information, right? And I guess that's part of the problem, is that children are being led here, there, and everywhere because there's too much out there, and not enough regulation.
Yeah, 100%. There's
Mm.
too many unknown sources and too many people claiming to be experts. There's been something recently, where I believe a therapist was calling themselves a psychologist and they're not even qualified.
Mm.
It's quite scary. This is why I always say to people, when you're seeking therapeutic input, when you're going to use services, even if that's as an individual or even if it's as a business, you need to be vetting the people you're hiring. You need to be looking at what the qualifications are, looking at what their experience is, making sure that that person does know what they're talking about. It's a very tricky and complex field to come into. It's a minefield. If you don't know what you're doing and you're claiming to know what you do, and then something goes wrong, how are you
Yeah.
going to manage that?
Yeah. And I guess, does it create problems, for you and your staff when customers come to you, and they're seeking help, they're seeking assistance, but they already have a ton of ideas in their head about what they should be doing, or what their issue is, or does that take a lot to kind of unpick what they've already been looking at on social media sites?
Yeah, 100%. It can be it can be a bit of a minefield, that, because people will come with this kind of pretense or this idea that they already know what's wrong with them. Whether that's been from, it could be from another therapist, it could be from a GP, it could be from a mum at the school who they speak to, it could be from a chat group that they're in, a forum that they go in on Facebook, or it could be something that they've seen on TikTok or YouTube. And it's a real tricky area for us, because at the same time, you really want to respect what a client's telling you. We do have respect for what clients are sharing with us, because they're sharing things that are quite sensitive. They're in quite a vulnerable position. They're looking to us as a person of trust. So, we have to be careful when we're navigating around that, to make sure that people don't feel unheard, they don't feel dismissed, they don't feel, disregarded. It's okay to come with these, preconceptions of what they might have. And
Yeah.
that's fine. We're all ears. We want to hear what they think they're struggling with. The difficulty we have is when we have to unpick those, but when people are kind of quite rigid and are stuck in that
Yeah.
preconception that is the problem. My GP's told me that is the problem. And don't get me wrong, GPs are very, very knowledgeable, but we're mental health specialists. We're trained in our field. We do specialist training that's all centered around everything and anything mental health. So when you're seeking advice from somebody who's physical health trained,
Yeah.
they only get a snippet of mental health training. So it really does need to be a mental health expert that you're speaking to.
Yeah. What would you say are those the misconceptions that people have when, well, I suppose when first maybe engaging with you guys, for the very first time? And I guess, we mentioned, before we started, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, right?
Yeah.
I guess, men, women, children, maybe there's different misconceptions that they have before they engage with your services. What do those look like? What are they?
I think most misconceptions come from the wrong advice or
Mm.
bad experiences of having therapy previously, or somebody they know having a bad experience in therapy. I think word of mouth travels really quickly. And if somebody's had a bad experience with somebody, that travels very fast. So then that misconception then carries on and it follows them around. So when they meet with somebody like myself, or maybe one of my team members, they automatically have that guard up. There's already that barrier that we need to break through to help them to be able to trust us so that they know we know what we're talking about.
Mm.
And I think that can be really difficult. I think, especially with males, and not to, stereotype anybody at all, but
Yeah.
there is evidence out there that says that the male population is less likely to come forward with mental health problems because, we have lived in a generation where basically people have been told sometimes, pull your big boy pants up, get on
Mm.
with it. You know, you're a man. You shouldn't talk about this stuff. Or it depends what that generation is, it doesn't it? It depends what their traditions are, what their generations are, what their culture is.
Mm.
Everybody's got a different kind of view on mental health.
Yeah. I guess different baggage that they've
Yeah.
brought when they get to that point as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Mm.
all about their experiences, isn't it? They've got different experiences as they've been coming forward through the generations.
Mm.
And I think as a family, if your family have been less likely to have experienced mental health problems, or they haven't really come forward with mental health problems, they've just kind of got on with it, then the Gen Zs, as they call them, who are coming forwards now, some of them are less likely to come forwards because of, the modelling within the family, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm.
Um, and that's what we're trying to really break. We're trying to break. I think one of the things that I'm really looking to get people to kind of recognise is that don't just come to therapy when you hit the crisis point. Don't just come to therapy when everything just goes wrong.
Mm.
What's wrong with coming and having a few sessions of therapy or coaching, whatever you want to call it, around what you're actually doing well,
Mm.
what you've done well, what you are doing well, what you want to carry on doing,
Mm.
because that's what's going to keep you well, isn't it? That's what's going to
Mm.
keep you on that that road to kind of success.
Yeah.
So why don't we just bob in and out of therapy every now and then so that we can keep ourselves well before we carry on going, hit that crisis point, and then we really are struggling and we do need therapy. We need that intense input.
I think that's an amazing way to describe that. Probably a lot of people haven't really thought about before. You go to the gym regularly to stay physically fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, a lot of people wait until the very last moment, or they've got a health problem, and
Yeah.
then the doctor says you've got to do this, so
Hmm.
you do it. But then a
Yeah.
lot of people understand the benefit of regular physical activity to keep your physical health, right? And the same
Hmm.
with as you get older, um, to keep the brain active, playing puzzle games, Sudoku,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
These kinds of things, because we know that keeping the brain active,
Mm.
problem solving, reading, these kinds of things is good
It's
for
like
for
brain
the brain,
training.
right? So the same should be for our mental health. We shouldn't just take it as a given. Oh, I'm good now. When I'm bad, then I'll
Yeah.
engage in that way. But actually keep on top of it, right?
Mm.
In that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never heard
It's
anyone explain it like that before.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand, doesn't it, with physical health? We train in physical health to stay well, to
Mm.
output some of our stress, our energy. For neurodivergent people, it's about, offloading some of that excess stimulation. It's about, recentering ourselves sometimes. It's about finding that dopamine hit, you
Mm.
know. So what's wrong with staying well within, cognitively as well? So
Yeah.
physically you're staying well, but what about cognitively, because they come hand in hand, don't they?
Yeah.
Mental health, physical health are a great combination,
Yeah.
and I think that if you reach out and we talk openly about these things, and we do talk about the things what we find challenging, but we also talk about the things that we do well.
Mm.
Because let's face it, as a human nature, it's really easy for us to be really negative about ourselves, to be really self-critical.
Mm,
It's like having a job interview. If I said to you, "Tell me what your strengths are," you'd probably go, well, but if I said to you, "Right, okay, James, tell me what your challenges are," you'd be like, "Well, it's this, it's this,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
this."
yeah.
It's so much easier to go down that negative pathway because
Mm,
cognitively it takes more work. Like going to the gym, it takes more work to make the body change.
mm,
It takes more work cognitively to go down a different pathway, a more positive route, because it
mm,
takes a bit more thinking. It takes a
yeah.
bit more work, doesn't it? A bit more brain training.
Mm, mm, mm,
But if you was to keep on top of that and do that regularly, you're going to stay well, aren't you? You're going to stay on the right track.
mm,
So I
mm,
think people are seeing therapy as a last resort
yeah,
rather than part of the maintenance cycle,
yeah.
consistency.
Very interesting. I mean, Alicia, could you and I know there's patient confidentiality in this kind of area, but could you maybe explain a kind of success story you've had with a patient or a particular type of patient that, after engaging in, your services, they've gone up onto, that ladder and seen seen the light, as it were,
Mm.
and changed their life.
Oh my God. Do you know what? There's so many because I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years now in December, and there's just so many. Like, I mean, one that stands out the most is somebody I worked with who was very, very suicidal, very, very severely depressed, wasn't engaging in anything, really struggling with life.
Wow.
Um, and I remember at the end of therapy getting a message from them saying, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And for that, I will always be grateful. And I
Wow.
always remember that.
Mm,
It's something that stuck with me. It's probably one of the very few times I've probably become emotional because you try not to be, because in this industry, you have to be quite emotionally resilient. You have
yeah.
to take care of yourself
Mm,
as well. But yeah, it was to hear that from somebody just makes what you do so worthwhile. You
yeah.
know, I've had messages from people saying, you've put our family back together. You've helped our child start enjoying life and seeing life for what it really is,
Yeah.
and things like that. And that's just incredible. And these are people who've been, I've worked with people who've been very severely abused, sexually, physically, emotionally. I've worked with people who've been involved in armed robberies, they've been taken hostage.
Oh gosh.
I've worked with people who've been, assaulted, um, very severely. I worked with one person who was on life support and almost died,
Yeah.
from being assaulted in and unfortunately that was a homophobic attack.
Mm,
And that was probably one of the hardest cases that I worked with. But
um,
but again, on the flip side, one of the most rewarding.
um,
They wasn't leaving the house, they wouldn't get on a bus, they wouldn't use any public transport, they wouldn't go to a park because that's where it happened.
um,
And then by the end of therapy, they was going to the park with their partner, they was getting on public transport, they was, going out with their friends again. To see somebody go through that journey and for them it's life changing.
mm,
Like people just think we come in and do a bit of therapy and we just sit and listen to people and that's it.
mm,
There's a lot more to it.
yeah.
And to watch somebody go through that journey that transforms their life is absolutely incredible.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. It's the power of this, your particular, position and sector, right?
Yeah.
Or what it can do, because I suppose, like it or not, life can be and is a horrible place to be sometimes. Bad
Yeah,
things
it
happen,
is.
right?
Yeah.
And if there aren't the services, such as yours to help people stand up again and enjoy the good things
Mm.
that are there in life, then what a sad place we would be in, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, put a bit of a different spin on the conversation. I mentioned social media. I mentioned
Mhm.
tech. So AI. What impact are you seeing AI have? Within your space, within your sort of day to day, with from your
Mm.
clients or even just from the business aspect. It's a bit of a broad question, but yeah.
No, not at all. I mean, there's good sides and there's bad sides, isn't there? So the good side of it is that we've got more information and research to access. We can access it quite quickly, quite easily. A lot of it comes from quite well-known, resources. Um, it's all kind of vetted, so it's actually, some of it is really good information and comes straight
Mm,
from sources that we would ordinarily use. It's just that the access route has become quicker.
mm,
Whereas before we would have to kind of search and go through Google and kind of look for, the up to date kind of things. Nowadays you can speak into, is it chat G I always get this wrong. Chat G Is it GPT or GT?
GPT, chat
Chat
GPT.
GPT. I always call it GTP. My daughter's like, for God's sake, Mom, like get on board with technology with you. And I'm like, what?
Or
Um,
just chat.
yeah, just the chat bot, as I call it. Um, I actually call him Ralph. He's called Ralph in my house. So
I love it. Everyone's got a different
Yeah,
name. All the
Ralph is
business leaders I've
like,
spoken to,
yeah,
there's Timothy,
yeah.
Jeremy, Ralph.
And just love it. Like I'm like, Ralph, right? Talk to me. What's happening in the world? But yeah, it's just, the thing is if I want a piece of research and I want it quick, or I want to find something because I'm working with somebody and I want something quick, there's good access to it. Don't get me wrong, some of it isn't always as well researched as I'd like or up to date, and a lot of it does come from America. So
Mm,
I am very specific. I make sure that I do state exactly what I want, and I do state the piece of, um, the author or the researcher I'm looking for.
mm,
So I think that's a good aspect of it. But I also think it's good for our kids to keep up to date with certain things. If they want to know the questions, certain things, sometimes that's quite helpful. On the flip side of that, I do think a lot of people are using it to deliver things. So I've heard a lot of therapists using chat to deliver therapy or to
mm,
deliver workshops or training, which a lot of the information, like I said, does come from America. So it's not really relevant to the UK.
yeah,
It's sometimes outdated, and the statistics aren't always right because
mm,
it's not related to us.
yeah,
I think a lot of people are claiming to be more of an expert because of AI, because you can quite easily get an answer to something. So I
yeah,
think it's seeing a lot of people kind of step into an area claiming to be an expert when actually they're not an expert and they don't really have any experience in that, and they're just chatbotting something
mm,
to kind of deliver something, which is quite scary. It is really scary because then what happens when that goes wrong?
mm,
You
mm,
know, I can't sit there and say to Ralph, oh my God, Ralph, I've done this. Tell me what to do.
yeah,
He's going to
yeah,
give you a really generic answer, and you're
mm,
not working with something generic. You're working with an actual human being.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's interesting that you say that. A previous guest mentioned that using AI is fine, but the individual using it should fall under the same scrutiny on malpractice, right? Or if you
yeah,
give you give a client incorrect information because it was AI generated, just you're in the same position as if it was you that gave
yeah,
incorrect information, right? So
100%.
you can't just blame it on AI. It
No,
was you used AI, right?
yeah. You've got to be accountable. As a practitioner, I'm accountable to lots and lots of different areas. I'm accountable to two different registering bodies.
Yeah,
I have three different insurances, two different memberships. I have supervision every other week,
mm,
for both of the modalities that I do. I
yeah,
also get specialist supervision for the ADHD side of things that I do. and all of the treatment that I do there. So
Mhm.
I'm very, very accountable for what I do.
Mhm.
And it's all recognised by our governing bodies, so it's not something that I can, if I give out wrong information or I give out, something or it goes wrong and I don't deal with that
Yeah.
or manage that appropriately, I'm accountable for that, nobody else, which means that my registration is gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's not something that I'm willing to do just
Mm.
because I can use a shortcut on a chatbot to deliver
Mm.
something.
Mm. Mm.
I
And that's
need
the
to be
thing.
knowledgeable.
For you within your space, it is so human. There's so much connection
Mm,
needed. You can automate, or you can use these resources to help you prepare or to get
mm,
information at a
yeah,
fast pace. But that actual, that meeting, that consultation, that's the heart of the practice, right?
yeah,
And that's something that can never be replicated, because that's the whole meaning of it, right? I suppose
exactly.
it's other things around that, if done appropriately, if done well, can help, right?
The
Can
thing
help.
is, yeah, 100%. And I think the thing is, if you're delivering something, I mean, the content that I create for my training and my workshops is created by me. It's researched by me.
Mm,
It's hours of research. It's hours of reading. It's hours of looking through, our DSMs, our ICD-11s, everything. It's everything that I do is research. So, it's important that I can stand behind that training and know what I'm talking about and be
yeah.
accountable and responsible for the information that I'm giving.
Mm,
The thing is a lot of people have asked me, do you think AI will take over therapy? Do you think it'll start evolving and then before you know it, we'll be gone?
uh,
And I always say never, never, because you can't respond to somebody through a robot. You have to kind of be personable, don't you? It's that personable touch, isn't it? It's being empathic, it's being sympathetic towards somebody, it's being able to relate to that person, connect with that person. And you can't do that with a robot. You
uh,
just can't do it.
uh,
It's not possible. A chatbot's going to give you a really generic answer, isn't it? That kind of like comes back and says, "Oh, I am so sorry that you are feeling upset. It is natural to be upset," But to hear that kind of spoken back to you, it is all about that interpersonal touch, isn't it? It's about those interpersonal skills. It's about the tone of your voice, the facial expressions, your body language. It's everything accumulated together that makes that experience really personal for somebody.
yeah, yeah. And you said that, the empathy, right? Being
Yeah,
empathetic. That comes from understanding, that comes from experience, that
yeah,
comes from so many different aspects of life, right?
yeah.
And from the other person's point of view, you've got to authentically know that person, or buy into that person's
Mm,
um, authenticity, that
yeah,
that they really are empathetic, that they really do
yeah,
understand,
yeah.
for you
Definitely.
to then be able to move forward and
Yeah,
get over whatever it is you're trying to move on from, right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
always say to people, there's a difference between being listened to and actually being heard.
Mm,
There's a very, very big difference, isn't there? Because you can listen to anybody, but to really hear somebody and understand what they're going through and their experience and everything that goes with that is really, really different.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, into the logic basis of a lot of the AI technology out there is fantastic. It will give you good logical answers, right? But that's just the same as if if you're really upset and you talk to someone really logical,
Yeah.
it's worse. You want someone that's got a bit of logic, but also got a lot of emotion there.
Yeah, you want that emotional side, don't you? You want that
Yeah.
emotional connection with
Mm,
somebody who can kind of have a little bit more of a human approach. Let's just
mm.
say.
Yeah. Well, I guess Alicia, from your point of view as a practitioner, as a business owner, if and I ask everyone this, right?
Yeah.
So if there could be one part of your day to day, your business operations that could just be, AI or automation or high level technology is just does it, and you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
okay. I don't have to do that anymore. What would have the biggest impact on you, your business, your clients?
Probably more of a booking system and something that runs my calendar and stuff like that, because that just takes up so much time. There is probably loads of stuff out there, but it's just that I'm so old and kind of out of sync with technology. I probably just don't know how to use it more effectively.
Yeah,
But it's more that side of stuff. It's more the kind of booking systems, invoicing, kind of queries, things like that. But then again, it's really hard in our industry because when people send us queries, they're very personal.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't have a generic approach to a query because every query that we get is going to be so different.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
And that
guess, like,
information that they
yeah,
place in that message is very important and can't
yeah,
really be out in the yeah.
absolutely. So it's more for us, it would only be like just a generated invoice kind of thing, sort of something along those lines. But even then, invoicing goes wrong or somebody's doing something different, and it's just really difficult.
Mm.
I think in the therapeutic world, in the mental health industry, probably AI is never really going to fully be able to be kind of implemented. I think just because of our data protection, our GDPR's confidentiality, we're really restricted. And I think everything that you put into the chatbot, it has that algorithm, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You want to see some of the stuff that comes up on my phone, some of the adverts that come up on my phone, because there's some of the stuff I talk about. And
Yeah.
obviously, I do telephone sessions, I do video sessions. The algorithm on my phone, uh, I always joke with my family and say, God, I hope the police don't ever search my phone. Like, oh my God,
Yeah, yeah.
they definitely have a few questions for me, and
Yeah.
it's because of all the stuff that I talk about, because I'm
Mm,
in that industry.
mm,
I talk about a lot of the things that ordinarily people don't talk about,
mm.
you
A
know.
bit of a spin-off question then.
Mm.
What if AI could do something for clients, for your customers coming to you? What do you think would have the biggest impact on them? If there's something that could be done for them from AI, what could that be?
I think the biggest thing that AI could do for clients is direct them to proper services,
Yeah.
proper recognised services, recommend, even not even just me, but just services across the UK, like proper mental health services with real life qualified therapists, you know, um, and just give them kind of as many resources as possible, as many numbers to utilise,
Mm,
like your Samaritans, like our crisis services, Mind are great. They have loads and loads of resources to do loads of good work, just putting people in touch with those services that are relevant for them. So, you know, we was just at the Veterans Ball this weekend, Hull for Heroes, and it was great to see all the work that they do for the veterans and the families. And, so if somebody's struggling, just come out of the forces, and struggling to kind of integrate back into life, and the typing something into the chatbot, it would be great if their algorithm kind of directed them to a local service, somebody who can actually go and visit and speak to, and, or see somebody, have a video chat with somebody, you know, that's what I'd like to see, is that it's recommending you more towards services rather than trying to just provide you with all the answers. Because
mm,
sometimes we just don't have all the answers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very nicely said, Alicia. I mean, going forwards into the next sort of 6 months, 1 year, what's in the pipeline for you guys? What's coming up?
So obviously there's a few things that I can't speak about because they're all on the down lows, the kids would say. Or the low down. Is it low down? Down low? I don't know. My daughter would kill me if I
Either
didn't
way.
know yeah, if I didn't know what I was talking about. Um, the biggest thing for me is that I have just been accepted onto a panel of experts. So I am going to become a recognised expert within the UK. I will be providing free policies and procedures along with another a big panel of experts in the health and social care field.
Oh, wow.
We will be rolling it out. It's going to be a massive project. It rolls out. There's a soft launch end of November, beginning of December, and it rolls out live in January. It's going right across the UK. So that's one big thing that's happening for EK psychotherapies, and me in particular. Being recognised as an expert is a really, really big honour in our
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me as a business is we want to be working more with our male population within the construction industries, within the male dominated areas of workplaces, because we really, really want to see that suicide rate come down. We really want to reduce that suicide rate. We really want to get males opening up and talking about what's going on. We do. It's funny because we do a men's mental health awareness month, but we don't do a women's one. We don't do
Mm.
a female one, which is it's quite worrying in a sense as well, isn't it?
Is
Because
there a
we
reason
should.
for that, or it's just never been brought up?
It's just never really been brought up, I think. I think
Mm.
that's just because research has just shown that males are less likely to come forward and talk about difficulties or challenges. And it does make me feel really sad because I think that it's a really healthy thing to talk about stuff. It's really healthy to talk about your emotions or even to be angry sometimes. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay to be angry. It's okay to worry about things. Not all worry has to be bad. There's
Mm.
some worry that drives us to do better things with our
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're really pushing now to try and we really want to create those bespoke relationships with businesses to
Okay.
provide them with the care and support and well-being kind of programs that they need, not just this long list of, oh yeah, we get all these benefits, but actually we don't use half of them, but we're paying for them. Actually we want to come in and bespoke that, so you're paying for what you actually need.
Mhm. Just so I get it right. So, you partner up with companies, with organizations to encourage, use of
Yeah,
your services. Yeah.
yeah. To have individual sessions, to have training workshop, we will bespoke something to you if you want something and you think, oh, actually, we don't have this, and can you do that? Yeah, absolutely. And if we can't do it, we would signpost to somebody who can.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just do something for the sake. And this is where we wouldn't AI something. We wouldn't just AI something and create something to deliver it, for the sake of it. We would actually signpost to somebody who really does know about that subject. We just
And
want to make a difference.
I mean, are you open to working with any kinds of partners in that respect, or is there a specific kind of company partner that you are looking for
I
most?
mean, we've just delivered one of our first courses into Spire Hull and East Riding, which was amazing. We got really amazing feedback from it. Um, and it gave us a chance to give them some feedback as well about things that they could do to develop on from that.
Mm.
I mean, they're already doing great at what they do anyway. It's just helping people to move forward into the future. I think too many people are stuck in the past of, right, we need to have mental health first aid. That's all we need to have, and that's sufficient. Or we need to have suicide prevention, and actually what we really want is to help people broaden their skills and horizon, broaden their knowledge, so that people have more of an awareness of all of the different, things that go on with mental health, not just kind of the generic stuff. Because
Mhm.
the world is changing now.
Yeah.
We need to change with it.
Exactly. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, I mean, any companies, organizations that are interested in reaching out to you and learning more about how they can partner with you. What's the best contact details to get you on, Alicia?
So you can go on our website, which is www.ekpsychotherapies.com. You can email me at elisha.com. Oh God, I don't even know my own email. Elisha.kemp@hotmail.com. Or you can contact me. My telephone number is 07392 727 784. I'm open to people contacting me direct if you really want to speak to me, you're struggling with anything, you want a consultation, you want some advice. Yeah, please just get in touch. That's what we're
Yeah.
here for.
Yeah, yeah, I will put those contact details below, and I would highly encourage, as you said there, Alicia, not just you're at your, lowest point,
Yeah,
to reach out to you, but the like exercising a muscle, right?
yeah,
Get in touch with
100%.
Alicia, get in touch with the team and check in with your mental health,
Yeah,
and you give it the
definitely.
same kind of respect that you do to your physical body.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
100%.
I guess like key takeaways from the conversation. I'd say number one, when people are seeing all of these numbers about diagnosing ADHD, autism, all of these different like lack of diagnoses, too much diagnoses. Understands that we're catching up.
Yeah,
That this is
definitely.
a relatively new
Hmm.
field, and we're catching up with a population that didn't have this in its infancy, right?
Yeah, we didn't
Uh,
have the information then.
yeah, yeah. So that's one thing really to understand. And I guess we didn't talk about it, but when we're talking about young people now as well, COVID and that blackout time
Yeah,
when children weren't being diagnosed, we're catching up with that as
yeah,
well. So
yeah,
it's on
definitely.
constant catch up, and I guess as well, the need for more practitioners such as yourself to be able to deliver that
Hmm.
as well is really important. So understands that we're catching up.
Hmm.
Um, and number two, what we just talked about there, physical health. We check in with ourselves. We maintain that. Do the same for your mental health. It's not
Yeah.
just about going there when you're at your lowest. You're at the end. I need to go to EK psychotherapies. No, you can be going there right now, today. Check in with how you
Hmm.
are, right? And that's important. An
Hmm.
important thing to do to know where you are with your mental health. And I'd say number three, when we talk about AI. Um, a real standout for me is using the likes of ChatGPT. If a future can exist where people are signposted, people are not just looking for generic information,
Mm.
but they're signposted to the correct place. Because when we're talking about mental health, there is an emotive, an empathetic um, conversation that's needed,
Mhm.
and a generic take the information and feed it to that person isn't enough to serve. That person needs to be signposted.
Yeah,
How and when we get to that point, that's probably more difficult to say. But I think
yeah.
that's a real key takeaway when we're talking about this particular issue and the use of AI.
Mm.
But yeah, brilliant insights, Alicia. Absolutely fantastic having you on today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, brilliant. And thank you everyone for listening. Please do like and share this video so we can get this message out to as many people as possible. Thank you very much.